Uja, greetings. I am Sunu Setnahasra. Welcome to our early morning ancient Egyptian devotional dedicated to Goddess Net in all her mystic forms, gods and goddesses, who are derived from her transcendental essence. The liturgy, which you will be able to see on screen, is recited in the ancient Egyptian language, the MeDU Neter. English and Brazilian Portuguese translations is provided for you. You can see these translations on screen directly below the hieroglyphic text transliteration. You are welcome to participate by chanting along in your worship space, home, or wherever you may happen to be during the service. Or you are also welcome to listen quietly in a contemplative mood. Following the devotional, Uwashu in the Kemetic language, recitation of the liturgy, and meditation, Uwa in the Kemetic language. Practice, we will have a brief wisdom, or rek in the Kemetic language, teaching by SEHU KEHEPERA ANKH, leader and priest of the MeDU Neter Temple of Net. Before we begin, please remember to mute all devices. We will now begin. Presented on the screen at the moment is a stone-carved depiction of the facing pylons of the Temple of Net from the statue of Henat. On the left and right sides, the pylons in which one of the symbols of Goddess Net sits atop a papyrus standard. Her emblem is her two arrows crossed and tied to her shield. This symbolizes the protection and resurrection of the soul within this place, the temple. Behind the emblems of Net on both sides are the flags, which mean Neter, divinity. In the center of the pylons, at the bottom, is the opening to the temple, and above that is the pyramidal structure, which symbolizes the four equilateral planes of the universe and the mystic number 4. Above that, at the very top, is the cow hieroglyph, which means risings. It symbolizes the sun rising between the mountains, the ANKH symbol, and for the initiate, the emergence of spirit consciousness. Net nesumer bu neter emine. Jedef nesu hatepti neper Heru. Menket mert heb set neb engaen. Geri heb hep SSN. Emetne ina ren F chekta net nesumer pu neter emine jedef nesu hatepti net perkeru Menget mert Hepset Neb Enkaen Gary Hepertep SSN Emhetne Ina Ren F Jetta Net Nesumer Puneter Emine Jedef Nesuhatepti Net Perkedu Benket Mert Hepset Neb Enkaen Gary Hepertep SSN Emhetne Ina Ren F Jetta Wamu Kerefu Benefem Heru Akuti Anate Chekera Nefer Nebuben Duamu Kerefu Benefem Heru Akuti Anate Chekera Nefer Nebuben Duamu Kerefu Benefem Heru Akuti Anate Chekera Nefer Nebuben Duamu Kerefu Benefem Heru Akuti Anate Chekera Nefer Nebuben Ari Jen Sekret SEHU Kef Ulu Nefer Shepsi Etne Ate Nesuti Hatet Nefer Keru Didi Eskawa Hetep Nefer Keru Didi Eskawa Bamunem Nefer Shepsi Etne Ate Nesuti Hetep Nefer Keru Didi eskaua amunem nefershepsi etne te. Dua imshemsu in neberger SEHU in keperu. Dua asar nebrestav paut neteru at ami netekert anatet hirkikenti amentet unefer ab abtu matentu ai ku anek arati resta. Seteka sekert aku sari nahas. Ubet center set enka def sit neter uni entet ena yash en neter asar erdit endek in ari Heru ena herme endes ari Heru aus uatepi. Ari set ab ua neter abu pen a asar abu pen asar spur em Heru. Arit Bert Nahas sa Uajit pa neter asar Ari Heru het em aset abuyen tukje. MeDU
We just said nice. Is everything okay? Do you need some assistance?
And it's just some appears to be some internet connectivity.
Okay.
Meduje yan net seduara semesheru never ari maket en duamutef enti amsa asar sa duamutef asar pu duamutef. Meduje yan circuit nkake sekedet sa ru ne ari maket enquep sunef entet amsa asar sa quep sunef asar pu quep sunef. Yanater emnuen duacheta Yanater emnuen duacheta Nebuchadnezzar Anatesh Asar Putra Makti Sake Setu Sakake Nebuchadnezzar Anatesh Asar Putra Makti Sake Setu Sakake Nebuchadnezzar Anatesh Asar Putra Bhakti Sake Setu Sakake Nebuchadnezzar Anatet Het Asar Putra Bhakti Sake Setu Sakake Adi Jen Sekert Adi Dua Ker Ekau Uwashu Net net tuanet sefekera senuen. 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 Om Om Su Om Om Namo Rakata. Om Rakata. Om Namo Rakata. Om Asara Seheru. Om Asara Seheru. Om Asara Seheru. Om Asara Seheru. Eluma Keru. Eluma Keru. Eluma Keru. Eluma Keru. Se. Nuk Tien Keperu. Nuk Atien Keperu. Nuk Atien Keperu. Nuk Atien Keperu. Heru. Heru. Heru, 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 You are too heavy, but you are too heavy. 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 Nuke Nebuchadnezzar. Nuke Nebuchadnezzar. Nuke Nebuchadnezzar. Nuke Nebuchadnezzar. Nefer Ventra in Atom. Nefer Ventra in Atom. Nefer Ventra in Atom. Nefer Ventra in Atom. Makeru and Bane. Makeru and Bane. Makeru and Bane. Makeru Nebuchadnezzar. Nuke, ooh, ooh, Nuke, ooh, ooh, Nuke, ooh, ooh, Nuke, ooh, ooh, Nukemart, 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 Newt. Sa, 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 Pete au ANKH uas hena nefu KEHEPERA en baat en deja sunu ein hotel. Aset suja Heru suja menut nebu sen set fn asar aset etepi suja auhitu yasor nesheshu nebu emhu shemu metmetu tau sep nebu nesteta ua menti eru kut teken anat tesu kem ena sefa ra digit kat ena asar peta keperu medut ra kat nefi asar keperu uahai uaker. Luke aset perke nayet ret enau seter sa MeDU en Djehuti hertep maat empet ta atert aset neter nefer ger pu ankseski sd a ament sa enken pu fnn au f ready f nebkep dit etep her ft and n f tawi uai uaker. Heru ma Heru. Heru ma Heru. Heru ma Heru. Heru ma Heru. Nerait mesra. Nerait mesra. Nerait mesra. Nerait mesra. Duk keper. Mduau. Ra emahauf. Temu ami mesheri. Duk keper. Mduau. Ra emahauf. Temu ami mesheri. Duk keper. Mduau. Ra emahauf. Temu ami mesheri. Uahai. Uaker. Yes. Jesseri, Zisheri, Neter, Neter, Mu, Neter, Jesseri, Zisheri, Neter, Neter, Netpe, Djehuti, Djehuti, Neter, Neter, moon, net, just say, Zishari, Uashari, Uwa, Tefaha, Aha, Meter, em, Meter, Matter, Atimo, Peace, 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 peace. Attempt. Dua. Attempt.
Which, greetings, everyone. So we're continuing with our examination of a segment of a panel, a larger panel, on the western portion of the southern wall, on request. So recall we showed the panel segment and showed which of those lines that we'll be covering. So these 17. And remember I showed the picture of the wall in the distance, and I misspoke. I called the columns pylons. They're actually columns that hold up the ceiling. The pylons are the large facing walls in the front of the temple. So I misspoke there, and I didn't realize it until I looked at the recording. So another special feature of Lord Djehuty is the feature of his zoomorphic aspect. In this depiction, he's depicted with a human body, a male human body, and the head of an ibis bird, which is one of his primary symbols. He also appears as a baboon. So here he's in his composite form, and he's exploring the calculations of the universe and determining the qualities of what would have to occur for a universe to be sustained. And he's doing this with his divine intellect, his mind, cosmic mind. His cosmic mind aspect isn't not the only aspect of Djehuti. As you will see, there are other aspects to him. Here I showed me in the Temple of Asar, pointing out a panel with Djehuti on it. And again, you can see he has the face of an ibis bird. He's performing a ritual of tying the Sema symbol here. And then we discussed this line, and I added to the document. We'll discuss those later. And I put in a descriptor of hieroglyphs physics and how I use the word psychodynamics in relation to physics. And we'll have that discussion at another time. Here is Djehuti in his boat, and he has the papyrus in the front, the prow in the stern, and the rudders are the rudders of Heru. The face of Heru are in the rudders, and the divine principle of spirit consciousness, is in the center of the boat. The boat is traveling through the heavens. And so the boat of spirit consciousness is stabilized by the spirit consciousness awareness in time and space. And that's what Heru represents. And there are two Heru faces. So that spirit consciousness awareness resides in time and space. And that's one of the features of the Prada, what is called the Pharaoh, the Heru in time and space. And here on the right, I'll make it a little larger. This is coming from an artifact in this photo is coming from this ceiling of the Dendera temple dedicated to Heru. And this is coming from an artifact held in the Cairo Museum. And as you know by now, all of our photography are done by us in the field, so original photography. And here again, he's in the boat of Ra. There's Ra sitting on his throne. And again, the rudders are the head of Heru. And Heru is in the boat with Ra. And here is Ra. You can see the sun disk on his head with the serpent coming out. And he's holding a wasp scepter. And here we have Djehuti, again with the ibis head. And he's holding his hands up in a dual posture, and he's adoring Ra. And it says it here, actually. So Djehuti a ned keminu duara adoring Ra. And here, recall we discussed the Kemtu last time, and here the Kemtu is a 3 times great, and here he's being known as a 2 times great. So He's known as the Djehuti the Great, Djehuti the 2 times great, Djehuti the 3 times great. So these are all of his monikers. And here we see him in his boat again. And again, he's in his composite form, so that the human body with the ibis head. And here he is with the human body again with the ibis head, and he has a moon disk on his head in this depiction. And he's in a boat procession with Bennu, the Bennu bird, in front, and they're traveling towards the city of Jeru, which is the mystic city of Asar. So they're moving to be in the presence of Asar, the supreme spirit soul, in the city of Jed. And here is the Jed pillar, which is the backbone of Asar, which represents the stabilization and higher consciousness. And then we have a metal sculpture of Djehuti in his full ibis form. So you can see he had the face of the ibis bird, the body of the ibis bird, the legs, the feet of the ibis bird, and he's being worshipped by the royal. And again, the hands are in this special position with the palms facing outward towards the image of the divine. And this is called the dua posture. And in this context, dua means adorations. So a gesture of worship. So you can worship the divine in its full zoomorphic form here, or in its composite form with the head of which is its most I guess popular form, the head of the bird and the body of a male. And some people might say, well, why is he worshiping the animal? Actually, the animal is a manifestation of the spirit that is the essence of the animal. So he's not really worshiping an animal. He's worshiping the manifestation of the spirit that is percolating or vibrating from the animal. And when you look at it that way, from that perspective, it's not simply an animal in the context of Western cultural context. It's essentially a manifestation of the divine. So all of the Neteru are manifestations of the divine. And many of them have their composite form and their zoomorphic forms, and some of them have their full human forms. So you worship based upon your inclination. And then we discuss Djehuti Kemenu Niwut, who is his 8 gods and goddesses. And we illustrated, substantiated with, and supported with texts from the book of the Amduat. There's Djehuti Kenti Nebduat. And then we discuss his Djehuti Kemdua. So I added another one of the 3 times great, so you can see clearly, and to show that it is an established moniker for Djehuti. So MeDU, J, and Djehuti, or Djehut. So here's the first one. Here's the second one. The third one. So great, great, great. Commonly then translated as 3 times great. So kem to great 3 times. So not just great, but great, great, great. So magnanimous, fantastic, superlative, preeminence, uh, uh, power, 3 times great. And he did something very special. This is from coming, remember, I stated where this comes from, the Temple of Asar. So Sima Tali, NNK, so yoga, Egyptian yoga for you, M for Makeru, spiritual enlightenment. And that was bestowed by Djehuti, the 3 times great Lord of Kemenu, gave yoga in its 4 aspects that leads to mystic union, mystic realization with the divine, the supreme, Nebuchadnezzar, you can call it. So he bestowed upon to us wisdom teachings, that's Rek, devotion teachings, which is Washu, right action, which is Ma'at Adi, meditation, which is Ua, and the systems of those 4 aspects that leads to spiritual enlightenment. Yeah, that all of that is Djehuti's doing. And then here, we added this. We'll talk more about this principle later. But essentially, Anpu is leading the female initiate to meet Ra, and Djehuti is recording, and we'll talk more about that later. So now we're going to go to the second line over. So we did line 1. Now we're going to do line 2. You're going to see what special thing Djehuti does. He always has something special to do because he's Kem to he's 3 times great. Hesrit, Niwut, Ab, Het, and then we have some damaged text. Adui. Lord Djehuti is the innermost personality of the district of Hesret, where Set was subdued, the region which is within his abode of Kemenu. He brings the 2 pupils of the eyes of divine intuition, the sun and the moon, the essential spirit essence, the shining of spirit in the mind. Thus, he brings forth the faculty of reception of spirit-like consciousness, of intuitional realization of truth, of the innermost reality. Thus, he opens the eyes, inner vision of truth, to the sight of the consciousness of spirit. So let's make this larger. So Hesret is a mythological city in Kemenu. And Hesed is a city where Set was subdued. And if Set is subdued, that means the spiritual aspiration has reached a precipice where it is then transformed into spirit consciousness awareness. And so he is the innermost, or the innermost personality of that city where Set was taken down. Thus, he is the power that brought Set to his knees and subjugated Set and subdued Set. And Set loses his perceived power. And then Heru takes his rightful place. And he does this by this term in a strict sense means to come. In this context, it means something that he brings, to bring. And he brings the adui, the pupils. He brings two of them. That's why it's pronounced adui. So he brings the pupils to the left and the right eye. The pupil in the human eye acts as a modulator of light, and it works with the muscles of the iris. So it causes the muscles to contract and to relax, expand, whether in the presence of light or whether light is being, if it's darker outside or darker in the house. And therefore, Djehuti modulates the spirit. He doesn't bring the fullness of this supreme spirit. He cannot add that because no one can add that for you, or no thing can add that for you. That's something that you have to do in your mystic absorption in the transcendental being, essence, self. So no divinity, nothing can add the final full spirit nebula realization to you. But what Djehuti does is that he brings the organ by which that full realization can occur. So in other words, he says, well, I can't do this for you, but if you take this, then it will happen. So if you take this eye of intuition and you absorb it, you would receive that full, unbounded, unfabricated, non-dual, supreme realization. So he brings the inner visions of the eye of spirit consciousness awareness that allows you to intuit that final mystic absorption in which you realize the fullness of your spirit nature, true self. And in so doing, you realize that time and space, your physical body, your thoughts, your feelings are all illusory, that you have discovered the ultimate truth of being. So Djehuti in his clever spiritual preceptor way knows that he can't do the final absorption for you, but he can give you something that will allow that final absorption to take place. So he brings the pupils, he brings the eyes of intuition. So here's a depiction of the eyes. And here I like this depiction because of how it's augmented. And all of these parts of the eye are fractions, and the pupil is 1/4 on both sides. The eyebrows are an eighth. And then you have this 1/16, a half, 1/32, and 1/64. And so what you have is when you add it all up, it comes out to 63/64. So it's not a full, uh, it's not a full one. Like 64/64 would be one, but there's a fraction missing, and that fraction cannot really be given to you. That fraction is something that you do through your spiritual mystic union with your own higher nature. But what can be given is the organ by which that spirit-like consciousness is absorbed. So he brings the pupils. So for example, you can have all of these parts, but if you don't have the pupils, how can you see? So he brings the organ of sight of spirit so that can lead you to, that sight of spirit leads you to non-conceptualization, where you discover the non-conceptual spirit nature self. And in there are no thoughts, there are no feelings, there are no ideas, there are no concepts. If a divinity can give something to you to allow that to happen, you're being given a concept, an idea. And since that ultimate realization is non-conceptual, that will not work. Nothing can be given to you for it to occur. But Djehuti, as was said before, is clever in his spiritual preceptorship. So I can't give you the final fulfillment, but here, take these, and this will take this sight of spirit, and this sight of spirit will deliver the final victory, which is your true nature self-discovery. That is from a metaphorical sense, a mythological sense, but it's also a metaphysical truth that if you were to open your inner eye of intuition and point your vision towards spirit, that will open your intuition and deliver and realize what that means. That means that all your concepts, all your ideas, all your feelings, all your thoughts, everything that you think of yourself as, if you point your eyes towards spirit, of spirit consciousness light, all of that stuff have to fall off for that vision to be fulfilled in the final absorption in absolute consciousness. So once you start pointing your eyes towards that spirit-like consciousness, you realize what you're doing is you're giving up everything, all concepts, all ideas, all philosophies, everything that you've ever read, everything that you've ever memorized, everything. And it's for that reason that Djehuti gives the organ so that your inner vision sight of spirit can be directed to non-conceptualization. You know, that is a masterful stroke, but it's also, that is true compassion. You know, that's a true art of compassion, to lead your own inner vision to a non-conceptual awareness whereby there's true self-discovery. And when that happens, the result of that is the elimination of pain and suffering, of misery, of turmoil, of inner lack of fulfillment, wanting, needing, anxiety, frustrations. All of that is flooded by the light of consciousness of spirit. Here again in the Temple of Asar, Djehuti says, Djehuti an uajet per ab hetmen maatra df awet ab. Djehuti brings this eye, the wajet, the eye of intuition, realization of the true nature of the mind and self, to the royal who is established in the truth of creator spirit consciousness. This eye gives him penetrative insight and expansive awareness of the divine nature, expansion in consciousness with supernal awareness of the innermost reality of being. And thus there is spiritual bliss, divine glory, and transcendental happiness derived from the realization of the reality of spirit being. So here in line 1, Djehuti and Uwajet. So Djehuti brings the eye. So at Karnak, it tells us he brings the very pupils. Here it is telling us he brings the whole eye. He brings all the parts to the eye, including the pupil. But this emphasis on the pupil is very profound, because what's happening is that he is bringing the very element that is needed for the fulfillment of spirit light being to be actualized in you as a mystic practitioner of a mystic system of spiritual cultivation. So he brings the eye, and here these aspects of Djehuti leading the initiate. So he leads this female initiate. He takes her by the hand, and he's bringing her to meet Asar. And Asar is infusing her with ANKH symbols. So he's giving her life, the life of spirit. So she's going beyond the mundane, and she's realizing the truth of life, which is spirit. And we don't have time for it, but that goes into the idea of if you are perceiving time and space, and as your total awareness of being, are you truly alive? You know, we can talk more about that later. And here, Djehuti, again, he's gesturing to the initiate, to the royal, to the Asar, to go into the inner shrine to meet Asar, so from another panel. And here, Djehuti, again, is taking the male initiate by the hand and bringing him to meet Asar. So Djehuti is the one that's pointing the spiritual practitioner to the soul, and not the individual soul, but the supreme essence soul. So Asar Nebhet, Asar, the Lord of eternity. So the Djehuti gives the eye and points the way to the absorption in one's own true spirit soul nature. And here, from Metaphysical Process 4, the book of the Amduat, and these photographs and explanations of these glyphs are in the book of the Amduat, volume 2. So you can go to the book for that. But here you have Djehuti again on the left, and he has his ibis form, head, and the human body. And he is delivering the eye to Heru. And here, Heru is a metaphor for the royal personality, or this, if you want to, the spiritual initiate. So for yourself, essentially, this is you here. And this is Djehuti delivering the eye. But he says something, they have an exchange. These words here are Djehuti's speech. And these words here are instructions to Heru. So Djehuti talks, Djehuti makes a speech, and these are instructions given to Heru. Heru has to do something here. So Djehuti's speech. So we're at this text here. At zi u ast. This wajet, this spirit eye of wisdom, of intuition, is a support for them who sit on the throne seat of Aset in the abode of Zeker. And Zeker is a special region where Asar sits as the ruler of the netherworld, the Kenti of the netherworld. And Asar goes to that secret mystery place after he has been reconfigured by Aset with assistance of Nebuchadnezzar, assistance of Djehuti, assistance of Serket. So he's being told, so Djehuti is saying that this eye is your support for you as you sit on the throne seat of Aset. So this eye of intuitional wisdom is your support that anchors you on that throne of intuition. So the eye of intuition supports you on the seat of intuition. So if you lose your intuition, you lose your seat. You know that game that people play, I forget what it's called. You have like 6 chairs and 7 people, and then you have to run, and one person is always out of a chair. So if you're out of your eye, you're out of your chair. And that's normal human way of being. And what we're talking here is superhuman transcendental awareness of spirit being. So you are sitting on that chair. Musical chairs, ni. Musical chairs. So if if you're not playing the right note, which is intuitional awareness of spirit beingness, then you'll not be able to sit on that throne of intuition. It's coming from a set. And now this is an instruction to Heru. Au, au remen. Stretch out your material arm to receive the eye of intuitional realization amulet. Stretch out your metaphorical arm, that is to say, expansion in consciousness, to receive the eye of intuitional realization of the nature of spirit soul exponentially. So here, au remen. So this part of the text means to stretch out your arm, and it's talking about a literal arm. And how we know is because of this symbol. So this symbol means to stretch out your arm to receive the amulet. So like a ritual presentation. If we were to all get together and perform this ritual, stretch out your arm. But that's not enough. That physical ritual is not enough. There's something else that needs to be done. And this term, au remen, here does not have an indication for a literal arm. And here's the hieroglyph for arm, remen. So what it means is that this arm is metaphorical. It is a metaphor. So you have to do the physical ritual, which is the ritual practice. But then that doing a physical ritual is not enough. And when in true theurgy, when you're doing a ritual, you don't just do it one time. You do it you do it today, you do it tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. You may do a ritual hundreds, even thousands of times. Or you can do the ritual, or you may have a specific time of year to perform a certain ritual. So at this time this year, you do this ritual. At the same time next year, you do the same ritual. And you do that year after year after year. Depends upon the type of ritual, what is being done, the clergy that are organizing it, what are the parameters behind the ritual. But there's another ritual that cannot be done with a physical amulet and cannot be done with a physical arm. There's an inner ritual that has to take place within you. And in this kind of text, like the book of the Abdul, it talks a lot about the inner ritual, the rituals that take place in the mind and the parts of the spirit. Incidentally, here's the term for Zeker. So this ritual is taking place in Zeker. So there's a metaphorical arm, and that's what is being spoken about. And so you stretch out your physical arm in your physical ritual, but then you have your metaphorical ritual is your expansion in consciousness. And how that takes place is you have to meditate on this, concentrate on it. And one of the simplest, however profound ways of actually performing the internal ritual, starting the ritual, is simply you can have this image or another image where you have the eye. But for this image, utilizing this text, this image would be the most appropriate. You would visualize this whole scene, starting with all the elements, Djehuti on this side, Heru on this side, visualizing, 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 and chanting these two lines back and forth. You're starting with a verbal chant, then you get into a mental chant, and then you chant it mentally long enough, you allow the chant to subside, and you just hold the visual. And then you allow the peripheral elements. So you allow Djehuti and Heru to fall away, and all that you're being held in your inner eye vision, in your visualization, is the eye. And you're visualizing the eye at the level of your forehead, in between your eyebrows, in the center of your brain. And you visualize, you visualize, you visualize, and you stay there. You stay there, you stay there, you stay there. And that inner ritual, with that inner ritual, you'll be becoming more subtle. You'll be becoming subtler and subtler and subtler and subtler and subtler, until you become highly qualitative in your metaphorical reaching for the eye of intuition. It's something that will occur internally, where you actually receive the metaphysical power of the eye of the Wajid in the mind, in yourself. And then that will open other things. So we have some more to cover with this line too, but that will be it for today. I hope we didn't go too long. So dua for you, and dua for Asuno Setna has for plowing through with the technical issues and getting up late and stuff like that. Okay, dua everyone. Um, and we'll meet again next week as we'll continue this with our continued beautiful devotions. Djehuti, Djehuti. Djehuti, Djehuti. Djehuti, Djehuti. Dua Djehuti. Hitet. Dua everyone till we meet again. Hitet.